So this will be posted in your classroom. The due date for this will be this Friday at 5 p.m. Okay, so going through this video, I'm going to do an example problem of each section. I'm going to show you how I want you guys to turn it in at the end of Friday at 5 p.m. so there's no discrepancies or anything like that. But once again, any problems, just let me know. Okay. So first thing, let's talk about how we're going to submit our work. So of course we're using Google Classroom. You guys did a great job of setting up your emails and joining the class. No problem. I've seen you guys been posting a lot of comments. I appreciate the feedback and everything that's going on. So let's just keep the classroom running smooth, same as if we were in class. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to go to your Google Classroom. The first thing you want to do is you want to open up a Google Doc. Okay. A lot of this work we're just going to be typing in our answers as we're working on your scratch sheet at home. So of course I hope you have some scratch sheet with you and a pencil, of course. I will allow you guys to use a calculator, and if you guys remember any of the websites I showed you, this could help you a lot with your quadratic equations. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and open up a Google Doc, and we're going to do a blank one, and we're just going to put at the top here Unit 8 Study Guide, and of course put your name on there. So I'd put Mr. Turner, and I'm just going to show you how I want you to format it and write your answers. So I'm going to show you guys how to do number one, and we'll go through and talk about each section. Okay, so starting with number one. So this is topic one, graphing quadratic equations from standard form and vertex form. So as you can see, each question is asking you, it gives you a quadratic equation. You have to complete a table of values, find the axis of symmetry, the vertex, domain, and range. So we're going to put number one here, and we're just going to put our equation. So y equals x squared plus, or minus 2x, excuse me, minus 2x minus 5. This helps me grade this much quicker. It shows me which problem you're doing, going through everything. So, let me go show. So the way you want to do that is you want to hit the tab button, and it'll go into it, indent everything for you. So the first thing we're going to do, the table of values, I'll allow you to do on your scratch paper. I'm more worried about the axis of symmetry, vertex, domain, and range. So we're going to put axis of symmetry, vertex, domain, and range. And we're going to go through and answer one of these one by one. So you can see we're doing it very similar to how we would do it in class. You guys know I like to do example problems with you, and then you guys show me how to do it on your own. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to keep it as smooth as possible, just like we're in class. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do this first problem. So we have x squared minus 2x minus 5. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how I would do this problem. I hope you have your scratch paper and everything ready. So let's go ahead and grab a pen here, and we're going to use black. Okay. So our first one was y equals x squared minus 2x. Oh, that's a weird looking 2, huh? Okay. Forgive me, guys, I'm still learning. Okay, so x squared minus 2x minus 5. So let's find the axis of symmetry first. So I'm just going to put AOS, so axis of symmetry. Okay, so if you remember to find axis of symmetry, we have a specific formula that we use. So we're always going to use x equals negative b over 2a. Okay, and then it's just plug and chug. So you have to identify your b term. Okay, so this would be your b term, and then we have our a term and our c term. I'll save a little time instead of drawing the arrow each time. So we're just going to plug and chug here. So our b term is going to be negative 2. Okay, please don't forget that if it's a minus in front, that goes with the number because we read left to right. And don't forget also that the formula incorporates a minus sign. So we're going to have minus times negative 2 over 2, and our a value, there's no value in front of our x squared, so we know it has to be a 1. So we're going to have negative times negative 2. That gives us a positive 2 over 2, and that simplifies to 1. So that means our axis of symmetry is going to be 1. Okay, so remember it's x equals 1. Okay, a lot of you guys were forgetting that in class as well. So axis of symmetry, x equals 1. All right, so we're done with that part. All right, now we're going with our vertex. Now, if you remember from our vertex, a vertex is an ordered pair. Okay. So now that we have our x value, we're going to take that x value in order to find our vertex. And I hope this is ingrained in your brains. We just take the x value and we plug it into our equation to get some sort of y value out. So we said x equals 1, and we're just plugging that in. So we have y equals 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 5. Okay? So what that's going to give us is that's going to give us a y value. We're going to take that y value and turn this into an ordered pair. So we have 1 squared, that's going to give us 1, minus 2, minus 5, and that's going to give us negative 6. But remember, this is a y value. So now we're going to take our x value and our newfound y value. We're going to turn that into an ordered pair. So our vertex is 1, negative 6. So if I go back to my Google Doc, my vertex is 1, comma, negative 6. Okay, so now we have to find the domain. So this is where your graphing is going to come in. So let me go ahead and get rid of all of this. Let's make this a little faster. Okay, so we're going to still keep our equation. Okay, so to save time, I'm not going to go through the table of values. You guys know how to find your table of values. Okay, you just start with some sort of values. I usually start with negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, just to give you a range of values that you can find to graph your points. So if I was to plug in negative 1, I'd plug in each x with negative 1. I would get negative 2 out, negative 5, negative 6, negative 5, and negative 2. So if you can see here, this is our vertex. Remember, we just found that the vertex is 1, negative 6, and you can see the values are the same on both sides. Remember, that parabola forms that U shape. So our vertex would be somewhere at 1, negative 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'd have a point there. And then we'd have 0, negative 5, 2, negative 5. And, we would have some sort of parabola like that. Not the best drawing, but you can compare your table of values. You can pause the video, check the x values, plug them in, and see if you get the same table of values. Okay. So with that, that's going to be able to tell us what our domain and range is. So remember, domain is your x values. Okay. So remember, domain x values. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to see which values would exist for our x. So I'm going to change the color to red. So we do our line test. And we can see that every line is touching on this graph. Now remember, this arrow means it's continuous. So even though it's not touching here, we know this is going to keep going and it's going to touch eventually. It's not the perfect graph, but we know at some point this graph is going to keep going and it's going to touch each one. So whenever it touches every value, we call that all real numbers. So in this case, our domain would be all real numbers. Okay, so it's very crucial that you remember that domain is your x values. Okay, your domain is x values. That means range is your y values. Okay, one way you can remember this is that x comes before y, d comes before r. So domain has to come first, so x comes first. Range comes after d, or r comes after d, so range y values. Okay. All right, so doing the same test, now we're going to draw some horizontal lines. And we can see our graph touches here, 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 and so on. But if I draw anything below negative 6, our graph stops at negative 6. So there's nothing here at negative 7 or negative 9. So there's no values that exist here. So it has to be less than or greater than. Okay, so let's think about this for a second. It can't be negative 9. It's only going up. So that means it has to be greater than negative 6. Okay, so our range in this case would be y is greater than, and we're going to include negative 6 because we have an open circle. So y is greater than or equal to negative 6. Okay. So our range in this case. So we could go through and find the math symbols, but I'll accept if you just type y is greater than or equal to -6. Okay, so you could go through and you can find it's somewhere in here. I don't want to waste too much time on that, but you can go through and find the actual symbol to write greater than or equal to, but I'll accept it as this way as well. Okay. All right, so that's all there is to number one. Okay, so remember your table of values and your graph you're going to do on your own scratch paper to help you figure out your domain and range. But I'm looking for the answers of these four parts: so axis of symmetry, vertex, domain, and range. And I will upload this document as well to your Google Classroom, so you could either do it um, on the computer, or you can print it out and do it on your own scratch sheet and then upload your answers as well. Okay, so we have for this one you would have to do 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so now let's go to section 2. Okay, so topic 1 was, I think it was just listed there. Topic 1 was graphing quadratic equations. So let me go ahead and list that. Okay, so topic 2, so I just gave you an example of topic 1, so you can review that. If you have any questions or any of those problems, remember, you can always reach out to me. I will be setting up a Skype and a Zoom for you guys as well. So topic 2, vertex form and transformations. Okay, very fun. We spent a lot of time on this, so remember back to the game we played to help us remember this. So vertex and transformations. So this problem is asking us, so y equals -x squared plus 6. Describe the transformation from the parent function given each equation. Okay, so let me go ahead and erase this. All right, so we have y equals -x squared plus 6. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is we have to remember what's the parent graph. So looking at this equation, I see x squared. Okay, so x squared we know forms that U shape. We don't know where it's going to be, but we know the parent looks like this, and we know that parent is y equals x squared. So unfortunately, we can't play our morning review game of listing out the graphs, but I hope you guys spend some time reviewing that because it will help you. Okay, we will review some of the graphs later on this week as well. So we have y equals x squared. So how do we get from x squared to -x squared plus 6? So let's focus on this negative for a second. Oh, that's not right. Okay, so let's focus on that negative for a second. So we talked about if there's a negative in front of our a term, it does something to this graph. Okay, so we talked about if it's positive, it makes that smiley face, but if it's negative, it's going to flip it. Okay, so the first thing that's happened is that it's flipped. Okay, now let's focus on this plus 6. Okay, now this is where we had a lot of confusion before we went on break. Okay, now remember, if the x squared has a number with the x, that is a change in the x values. But if it's after the parent, so in this case it's plus 6, this tells you if it's going to go up or down. So remember, positive, it's going to go up, whatever that number is. So up, +6. So to review, we first identified what our parent graph was, then identified the two changes in this case. So we have negative and a plus 6. So we know it has to be flipped, and it's going to go up 6 values. So going back to my Google Doc. So in this case, this was number 7. And it was y equals -x squared plus 6. Okay, so in this case, our graph flipped and went up 6 units. Okay, easy enough. All right, so that's your vertex and transformation. So please pay attention for these. Okay, so for number 8, it's asking you what happened if it's x plus 4 squared and minus 1, and it's y equals 2 times x minus 5 squared plus 4. Okay, take a look at that a value. Okay. Now 10, if the graph of the function y equals x squared is reflected over the x-axis, then translate it 2 left units. Write an equation to represent the function. In this case, you're writing the equations for these two instead of telling what happened. Okay? All review. Okay. Remember, you guys can always reach out to me if you have any questions. All right, so let's go to topic 3, quadratic roots and zeros. So we're going to go to topic 3, and quadratic roots, and this is number 12. Okay. All right, for this one, you do not have to graph. You can graph on your own scratchwork if that helps you, but we're just going to focus on finding the zeros and writing it in factored form. Okay, so let's go ahead and erase this problem. All right, so our problem in this case is y equals x squared plus 8x plus 15. Okay, so we're going to do the factored form first because that helps us find our zeros. So we have x squared plus 8x plus 15. We spend a lot of time on factors. I hope you remember how to do those. Okay, so we're first going to look to see which method we have to use. There's no a term here, and we have an a, b, and c term. So this is one of our favorite ones. So what multiplies to c adds to b. Right? Multiplies to c adds to b. I'm going to go ahead and write my parentheses. Okay? We know x squared always factors to x and x. Now we have 15 and 8. Okay, so what multiplies to 15 and will add to 3. So we'll list out some factors of 15. So we have 5 and 3. This is kind of an easy one, but just for review, I'll go through how we would check this. So we have 15, 5 and 3, 15 and 1, and that's it. So we would do 5 plus 3, know is 8, and then 5 plus 1 we know is 16. So it cannot be this one. So it has to be plus 5. And remember to check for your positive and positives or negative negatives, whatever the units are. So x plus 5, x plus 3. So that would be your answer for factored form. So we had y equals x squared. And you guys don't have to rewrite the questions if you want. If you want to just write the answers, that's fine as well. So x squared plus 8x plus 15. So our factored form we just found, was x plus 5 and x plus 3. And now we have to find the zeros. So the reason I did the factored form first is because this helps us find our zeros a little quicker. Okay, so in order to find our zeros, we're going to take each one of our factored forms and set it equal to 0. So we have x plus 5 equal to 0, and x plus 3 equals to 0. Okay, we subtract the 5 from both sides. We get x equals negative 5, and subtract the 3 from both sides, and we get x equals negative 3. Okay, so our solution set would be x equals negative 5 and negative 3. Okay, so x equals negative 5 and x equals negative 3. So I would suggest always finding your factored form first for these set of problems. Okay, so you want to find the factored form first, then find the zeros. Okay? Alright, so you only have 13 or 14 to find those. Okay, so good review. Factored form and zeros. Okay, very important algebra 1. Alright, so our next section, write each equation in factored form. Okay, so now they're asking us to take an equation, expand it, and find the factored form and find the zeros. So this one's a little different. They're telling you find the factored form first, then find the zeros. Okay, so let's go to our whiteboard again. Get rid of this. All right, and please pause and try the problems on your own if you have any trouble or anything like that. Okay, great practice. Don't just sit here and watch my boring voice this entire time. Okay, so we have writing each equation in factored form, then identify the zeros. So y equals x plus 1 squared minus 4. Okay, so this one's a little different. We haven't seen too many problems like this. Okay, but what we're going to do is we're going to first expand our x plus 1 squared. Okay, actually, I'm not going to do that one. I'm going to do 17 for you guys. Consider it a favor. So we'll do 17. So we're going to do y equals negative x plus 5 squared plus 9. Okay, so as I was saying, this is a little different because they're giving us an x plus 5. So we're first going to write that in expanded form because we have to simplify that. Okay, because we can't write it in factored form without simplifying this. So we're going to bring down the negative. We're going to have x plus 5. Remember, squared means you multiply it by itself. So it would be x plus 5 times x plus 5 plus 9. Okay? Alright, and as we discussed in class, you guys like the distribute problem. Some people call it the FOIL method. But either way, we're going to have to distribute to both. And, oops, let's draw that with some color. So we're going to have the x times x. And our outside, oh, I guess we're not getting any color. Inside and last. Okay? But as you guys talked about it, there's no point in the FOIL method as long as you remember that you have to distribute the x to both terms and the 5 to both terms. Okay, so if we simplify this, we're going to bring down the negative, very, very important. Then we have x times x would be x squared. Okay, then we're going to have plus 5x plus 5x plus 25 plus 9. And then we're going to simplify this. So we have x squared plus 10x plus 25 plus 9. Okay, so the reason I want to do this problem is because I want to show you something here. So now imagine this was just a 10. So it would be a minus times 10. You guys would remember that you would have to do the minus times the 10 first. But in this case, we have to do minus times x squared times 10x times the 25. We have to distribute that minus to everything. Okay, so keep that in mind for 16. Okay, you can see that 2 in front. So don't get tricked up by the 2. So we're going to have minus x squared minus 10x minus 25 plus 9. And then we're just going to combine our like terms. So that's going to give us negative x squared minus, oops, minus 10x. And then 25, negative 25 and 9 are like terms. So that's going to give us negative 16. Okay, so now we have a quadratic we've seen before. So we have minus x squared minus 10x minus 16. Now we have to factor this. Okay, but if you notice, is this negative in front. Okay, so looking at this, we have a negative, and negative. So greatest common factor. We could pull out a negative 1. And we have x squared plus 10x plus 16. And then it's our favorite type of quadratic. Okay, what multiplies to c adds to b. So it multiplies to 16 and will add to 10. Okay, so that will be x plus 8 and x plus 2. And bring down the negative 1. Okay, now don't forget it's asking us for the zeros. So now that we have this in factored form, so this is our answer for the factored form. So this is number 17. Okay, so just for time, I'm just going to write the answer here. So factored form. Remember, you don't have to write the equation as well. You can just write the answer. So negative 1, and we solved for x plus 8. Oops. And x plus 2. All right, and now we have to figure out those zeros. All right, so going back to our whiteboard, we have a negative 1. We have negative 1 equals 0. We know that's not possible, so that's not an answer. So now we have x plus 8 equal to 0, and x plus 2 equal to 0. Solving for that, we get x equals negative 8 and x equals negative 2. So our only answers are x equals negative 8 and x equals negative 2. So x equals negative 8 and x equals negative 2. Perfect. All right. So let's review. These are a little different. Okay. The x plus 5 is squared, so we have to first write that in expanded form. Okay. Distribute or FOIL method, whichever one you want to call it. We have to check to see what our a term is. Distribute the a term to everything in our quadratic. Okay. Then combine our like terms, and then figure out which method of factoring we have to use. In this case, we had to use the greatest common factor, okay, because our a had a value. Or you could have did slip and slide with the -1 into the -16. Your choice, okay? But I thought it was a little easier. It's greatest common factor. We can pull out a -1. Then it gives us c, what multiplies to c and adds to b. And then you solve from there, okay? So that is 17. So 15 and 16, you will be doing very similar, factored form and figuring out the zeros, okay? All right, so we're actually going to stop there. So that'll be your first assignment. Okay, I will be posting a video on how to do the rest, but we're going to stop at 17 for today. So you guys have a couple problems that you're going to work on. Please do not wait till the last minute to solve these. Okay, this all will be due on Friday. Okay, this is a 4-page document. Okay, so we're just going to break it down. I don't want to overwhelm you guys on the first day, so I did some review problems, kept it simple. Please do not forget that after watching this video, you have to leave a question under the comments, and then after you leave your question, you have to respond to 2 of your peers' questions. Okay? So let's say, for example, someone left a question saying, "Hey, I didn't understand this problem." Go ahead and answer it for them. Okay? Remember, you guys are in class. You guys do a lot of working together. You guys learn from that. You guys strive from that. So I don't want to mess that up. Okay? I don't want you guys to sit at home and do everything by yourself. I want to make our classroom interactive as possible. Okay? So remember, 1 question, 2 answers. Okay? I will also be posting this example document up as well. If you guys are having trouble with Google Docs, let me know. But just remember, you just go to your classroom. The top right corner here, it has all the Google apps. You scroll down, click Google Docs. Okay? So, just to recap, this will be due on Friday by 5 p.m. Okay, you only have to go up to number 17. If you feel like you remember how to do the rest of these problems, feel free to go on. Okay, but we're at the end of this week. You will be turning in your Google Doc to me. Okay, all right. So please feel free to reach out to any questions. You guys have my cell phone number. Feel free to leave comments on Google Classroom. Let's keep it as interactive as possible. Let's have fun with this, guys. We're going to be doing this for a couple weeks, so I want to make sure you guys are learning, having fun. I don't want to bore you guys. And let me know how you guys think about this video. If you guys want me to just do Khan Academy videos, if you don't mind listening, just let me know. All right, let's get through this together. All right, so have a great day, guys, and I will talk to you soon.